All right, let's just jump right in. We are living through, right now, one of the fastest, most massive technological shifts in human history. And to really get a handle on just how fast things are moving, we need to set a baseline. So way back in 1999, Vince Cerf, one of the literal founders of the internet, he gave us this idea. And for a whole generation, internet speed was the gold standard for change. You know, it was the fastest thing any of us had ever seen. Well, until now. Because if the internet moved in dog years, then AI is moving at a speed we don't even have a word for yet. I mean, look at this. To hit 100 million users, it took Instagram 2.5 years. TikTok, which we all thought was lightning fast, did it in 9 months. ChatGPT? It took 2 months. This isn't just another step forward. It's a completely different kind of leap. But, you know, that speed is only one piece of the puzzle. What we're really seeing is a genuine historical anomaly. A kind of shockwave of adoption that's just fundamentally different from anything that's ever come before it. See, here's what's so wild about how this all happened. The internet, it started in the US, right? And then it slowly but surely spread out across the globe. But AI was different. It basically piggybacked on that internet we already had, and because of that, it became an instant global phenomenon, all at once. And the difference is just staggering. It took the internet 23 years for 90% of its users to be from outside North America. ChatGPT is on pace to do that in just 3 years. We have never, ever seen a technology go global this fast, period. So that incredible global speed brings us to the real heart of this story, this bizarre, kind of contradictory economic engine that's fueling the whole fire. Because on one hand, you've got this arms race that costs an unimaginable amount of money. $212 billion. Just let that number sink in. That's how much just 6 U.S. tech companies are spending on servers, data centers, all that infrastructure this year alone. That's a 63% jump in a single year. It's the insane cost of entry just to have a seat at the table. Okay, but here's the paradox, the weird part. While the cost to build all that foundational stuff is blasting into the stratosphere, the cost for you and me to actually use the technology, it's in an absolute freefall. So this is the key. You've got this incredible split. Training a brand new, cutting-edge AI model costs billions of dollars. But inference, that's the cost of actually asking it a question, has dropped 99.7% in just 2 years. And that's the engine of this whole boom. A ridiculously expensive arms race is fueling a ridiculously cheap gold rush for everybody else. And you can see this paradox playing out in the real world. I mean, even a leader like OpenAI is just burning through cash. Yeah, their revenue is exploding, which is great, but their compute costs are growing even faster. It just goes to show you the astronomical sums of money they have to spend just to stay at the front of the pack. Now, for a while, it seemed like this super high-cost, closed-door approach was the only way to compete. But now, that whole idea is being challenged by a huge wildcard, the open source movement. And it's opening up a totally new front in this race. Now, if you only look at what normal consumers are using, yeah, the big, closed models from companies like OpenAI and Google are still king. They've got about 85% of the market. But that's not the whole story, not even close. Because here's the really interesting part. That performance gap between the big guys and the open source models, it's closing, and it is closing fast. On really tough math problems, the best open source models are now almost indistinguishable from the top closed ones. That makes them a real viable alternative for developers. And that viability is fueling an absolute explosion. Get this, there are over 1 million AI models available right now on the developer hub Hugging Face. That is a 33 times increase in just a couple of years. This is what happens when powerful tech becomes easy to get, developers just flock to it, and innovation goes into overdrive. And of course, an explosion of innovation like this raises the stakes way beyond just which company is on top. This technological arms race has now officially ignited a geopolitical one, a super high-stakes contest for global leadership, especially between the US and China. Meta CTO Andrew Bosworth, he framed it perfectly. He said, "This is our generation's space race, and the stakes are just as high, maybe even higher, because leadership in AI could translate directly into leadership on the world stage." And this race is already well underway. Projections are showing that in just about a year, a top Chinese AI model is on track to more than double its share of desktop users compared to its American rivals. So China isn't just catching up anymore. They're becoming a major force to be reckoned with. But here's a really critical distinction to make. China's strategy isn't just about chatbots or making cool digital art. They are laser-focused on applying AI to the physical world, to industry, to manufacturing, to automation. If you want to understand the scale of their ambition, just look at this. In 2023 alone, China installed more industrial robots than the rest of the entire world combined. They are building the foundation for an AI-powered physical economy at a scale nobody else can touch. So their strategy, it's a pretty clear three-step plan. First, catch up to the performance of the US models. Then, figure out how to do it cheaper. But the final and most important step is to become totally self-sufficient by powering the whole thing with their own homegrown semiconductors. So, let's wrap this all up. What are the big takeaways here? First, AI is being adopted faster than any technology in history. Second, this really strange economic paradox, super high cost to build, super low cost to use, is what's driving this frantic pace. And third, this isn't just a race between companies anymore. It's playing out on a global stage between nations. And that brings us to the most crucial point of all. This is not just another tech trend. This isn't about the next cool app. This is a fundamental tectonic shift that has the very real power to redefine economic power, military advantage, and ultimately global leadership for the rest of this century. You know, the late, great Stephen Hawking, he put the stakes into perspective better than anyone ever could. We are building something that could be the single greatest achievement of our civilization. But the risks that come with it are just as big. And that leaves us with the final question, doesn't it? As this unprecedented race keeps getting faster, and as all these powerful forces, economic, geopolitical, reshape our world, the real question isn't just about who wins. It's about what kind of future all of us are building together.